successfully apply to business school, you need to smash the GMAT and get a GMAT score that is worthy of those top schools that you are eyeing. I was in this position last year when I began my journey to business school. By applying certain strategies, I was able to get the GMAT score that I needed, applied to business school successfully, and I got admitted to 2 top schools in the United States with scholarship. And on this channel, I am going to help you do the same thing. If you are new here, my name is Tayo, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that you must know and you must do before you start preparing for your GMAT for you to have a high GMAT score. The very first thing you need to do is you need to determine what your target score is going to be. I've seen many people say, hey Tayo, I want to write the GMAT, and I'm like, okay, that's great. What score do you want to get? And they're like, I don't know, something high. If you don't set a goal, it's impossible for you to achieve that goal because there's no goal at all. The Bible says that write a vision down and make it plain so that as you run, you may run with it. If you do not have any goal, if you are just working on the GMAT just to get a high score, you will never get a high score because you don't know what you are working towards. So the first thing you need to do is you need to set a target score. Now, the GMAT is scored between 200 to 800. And between that range, right, there are different scores and they mean different things. Second thing you need to do is you need to take a practice test. And this may sound counterintuitive, like I've not even started reading for the test at all. I've not even read any material. I've not even practiced any question. Why will you ask me to take a practice test? Yes, it sounds counterintuitive, but the way the GMAT works is you need to know where your skill level is right now. And for you to have a good study plan, you need to know what your beginning level is. Let me give you a scenario. If my beginning target score is 700, I don't need to study for the next 6 months to get a good score because 700 is already a good score. If my beginning test score is 600, then maybe I can study for a month and then hit my target. But if my beginning score is 400 and something, 500 and something, then it shows you that you need to do more work. So the second thing you need to do, most importantly, is you need to do a practice test. And if you go to mba.com, I have the link in the description below. You have 2 free tests that you can take without paying anything. When I began my GMAT journey, my practice test result, the very first one, I scored 530. Now, before I took this test, I felt I'm good in quant, I'm doing the CFE exam, I think I speak good enough English, I'll be alright on the GMAT. That was what I believed, and I postponed the GMAT study for so long because I believed that I was just naturally good at GMAT, but I wasn't. My first score was 530. And it doesn't mean that, and when you take your test score, you want to really manage your expectations. Like, don't go in there expecting to score 700. Most people do not on their first attempt. The GMAT is not really a test of intelligence per se. It's a test on, reasoning skills. And many of us, especially in Nigeria, we are not trained. Our average university or secondary school doesn't train us to think the way the GMAT needs us to think. So you may be good, you may know algebra, you may know geometry, you may know sentence correction, you may know adjectives and adverbs and all that, but on the GMAT, you may fail the GMAT the very first time you take it, not because you are not smart, but because you don't know how to think like the GMAT wants you to think. I'm going to have videos about this as well coming on the channel very soon, so please subscribe so you don't miss that when it comes out. The third thing you want to do is you want to determine your weak areas. Why we do the practice test is so you can get feedback, right? When you do your test, you will quickly see what did you score on quant, what did you score on verbal. Were you able to finish the test within the period that assigned for the test? Where did you struggle? How are your energy levels? Many people that are going to take the GMAT, you've not sat down for an exam that takes 4 hours before. I had the advantage of I've been writing the CFA for a while, so I was used to sitting down for long hours for exam. But many of you will not have that. And even sitting down for 4 hours for an exam, it takes a toll on you. I remember the difference between my second GMAT score and my third GMAT score actually was because I took breaks in between. That was what made the difference. So when you take your practice test, you are doing it to determine what your weaknesses are. You want to outline, am I weak in quant? Am I weak in verbal? Is it stamina that is my problem? Do I lack concentration? You want to use that practice test to give yourself feedback. Once you determine what your weaknesses are, you have to move on to the fourth thing. The fourth thing you must do is you must have a study plan. The GMAT is like building muscle or exercising. If you exercise on Monday and don't exercise till like Sunday, and then after that Sunday again, you do exercise again till like 2 weeks. You're not going anywhere. You're not building any muscle. The GMAT is a skill. Getting a high GMAT score is a training. You need to train yourself like an athlete to train themselves, and you need consistency. And the only way to have a consistent schedule that is comfortable for you, that you will follow, is to have a study plan. Now, how do you come up with your study plan? Again, I'm going to have a video where I share my 3-month study plan on this channel. So you know what to do. Subscribe. That's what I'll say. How to determine your study plan? I'm going to just share quick tips here. You need to determine how much time is available to you. If you are like me, you are probably a working professional. You have a job. You may even be married. You may have kids. You may be a manager at your office. You have responsibilities. You don't have time to spend 8 hours a day studying for the GMAT, but that's fine. How many hours can you spare in a day? I could spare 4 hours because I was reading in the middle of the pandemic and I was working from home. So I could wake up early in the morning, read for the GMAT, and then continue working from there. I didn't need to go through traffic. I didn't need to even have my bath some days. Anyway, the point is that how many hours do you have to study? Based on your initial score as well, you know, where you start studying and what you study would differ. Someone that their initial score was already in the mid 600s will not have to do some things that someone that their initial score was in the mid 500 has to do. Again, I have you on this channel. I'm going to hold you down on this front. I'm going to have multiple videos about this, things to study, where to study, how to study, coming up very soon. So you need to determine your weaknesses as well. You determine what your study plan will look like. Should you start from quant? Should you start from verbal? Right? How many hours should you study at a time? Like, for example, when I began studying for the GMAT, I was doing 3-hour study sessions at a go because I was trying to train my stamina. I was training my concentration. I was training my focus. The way the GMAT works is that you don't have time to lose focus on the exam. You have to solve each question in 2 minutes or less. So if within that 2 minutes you just lose focus for 1 minute, you are most likely going to fail that question. So I arrange my study plan to prepare me for the exam, right? You need to determine how many practice tests will you take. When will you take those practice tests? You need to arrange all those when you do the fourth thing, which is to prepare a study plan. And the last thing you must do is you must pick the right resources. Look, there are many GMAT resources on the market. There are many test providers. There are many websites. There are many books. And you don't have time and money. Well, you may have the money, sharp. But if you are like me, you don't have the time nor the money to go through all of them. You need to pick the right ones for you, the right ones for your current level of the GMAT. So if you are already hitting high, maybe your first practice test, as I said, was you had a high score, then you may not need to go through some test materials. But if your test was really low, you may need to begin for some elementary test materials and build your way up. Again, I'm going to have a video coming up about what I used. I think I used about 10 different materials, and I'm going to be reviewing all of them on this channel. You know what to do. Press the subscribe button so you don't miss anyone. So those are my 5 top tips about things you must do before you even start. Without your practice test, without a schedule, without a plan, without your resources, you are going to be beating around the bush. And I did that initially when I began studying for the GMAT, and I spoke about this in my journey to business school. I was just doing anything I like, and I wasted a whole year. But you don't want to do that. Please follow these 5 tips that I have shared, and I wish you the best in your GMAT exam. Bye.